Alright, hello everybody. My name's Dan, and welcome to my absolute stupid... Never do this, by the way. I wanted to do a run where I use Kefka and Kuja. One, I wanted to use Kefka at first, just because his sap would deal with the orb, so I was like, hey, let me use him instead of anybody else, because I really love Kefka. And then when I watched the cutscenes, I saw that Kuja was also there, so I was like, Kuja's gotta be his partner in crime. Helps because he's also an Imperial Enchanter, which means basically Kefka's gonna be doing max damage for the entire fight. But because of that, this fight actually sucks to do. Oh my god. And the big reason is Kefka, especially because even on his own, but especially because I have Fujin Sphere on him, he just lowers the enemy speed way too much. And so, this becomes a problem because of the major mechanic of the fight, and I'll get into that once we push these guys to 80%. But this was finally getting it was really satisfying. So I'll do a quick explanation of what I've done so far. You know, just very basic stuff. You know, putting up the debuffs, making sure that Kuja's LD is up so that we get the weakness damage on everybody. You might have noticed that on turn Gladio's turn 1, I used his LD. In this scenario, he happened to have been targeted once, so an early LD works out. If I have to LD turn 2, it's actually kind of awkward because LD kind of falls off right when, well, it did. That was when I was doing runs, where I still had all of my speed passives on. This run, I actually finally bit the bullet and took off my speed passives. Oh, here. You'll notice that he got broken, but he doesn't counter because of the HP disable. Yeah, Kefka's HP disable, makes this fight easy, but way harder at the same time. The HPS act disable is great because it means that whenever it's up, I don't have to worry about the break counter. The problem is that the major mechanic of this fight, he can't have the HP attack disable, so I can't actually use Hyperdrive for the majority of this fight, which is good and bad, because at least, you know, in the last half of the fight I could just spam it for free damage, right? But it also means that I have to be smart with my use of Trine. Why was I waiting here? I don't remember. I think I got distracted by my cat. I'm not sure. Either way, we're about to get to the, so this is the major mechanic of the fight, and it's Augur, and Augur sucks. So there's two major reasons why Augur sucks with this team, and the first one is the slow. Actually, the first one is the fact that while they have this, little yellow particles going up thing, they have, a 90%, 95% brave damage reduction. It's awful. I can't do any damage, because I have no battery in this team. I have no gravity in this team. It's just bad. So I'm stuck here waiting. Basically just waiting for these guys to take their turns, so that I can start doing damage again. And this is why Kefka with all of his slows really made this fight an absolute mess to do. Because if I still had all of my speed passives, there would be 5 or even 6 turns where I just can't do damage until they go. Now, here I light up Judgment to actually push off the HP signs, and this is what I was talking about when I was saying the HP signs. Because if they can't actually use Piercing Spear here, they don't lose their Brave damage reduction aura. And so if I actually frame his HP silence, I can't push it off, and I just have to wait for them to take turns until it falls off naturally, and that is... This fight only has 70 turns. I can't afford that. Fortunately, this time it went really well. I got to just, you know, I wasted 4 turns, but I was really at least able to get a bunch of single target attacks during the quick downtime when only one of them was targetable. Only one of them didn't have the aura, so that was fine. Here I'm just gonna try it again so that I can break this dude without needing to concern myself. Also, trying is incredibly important for that, due to the fact that Kuja has nothing but all attacks. If I did not have that ability to deny the counters, Kuja would just lose me the fight directly, like, just straight up. Everybody in this team has just nothing but AoE Brave damage, and it is an absolute nightmare. Anyway, here's the orbs. The orbs have been up for a while. Kefka kind of trivializes them, but again, because of the slows, we end up taking a lot more turns than would otherwise be expected. Fortunately, in this run I took off the speed passes, but managing the turn order was actually very important when I was trying to do it when I still had the speed passes. I eventually took them off because, like, I got 5 fights in a row where I killed them on turn 71 out of 70, so I was just like, go slower, we'll get more turns available to actually deal damage, it'll be fine. And one thing that was very important when I was faster is micromanaging the enemy turn order, because whenever they swap sides, or they swap the break counter aura, the one who gets the break counter deletes his turn. And when I was going so much faster than them, it was actually possible, if they kept deleting turns, that I actually would run out of space on the orb. So you'll notice here I delayed A, so now B is going to go before A, so he gets his orb boosted, then A gets his orb boosted, and then in this particular scenario, this is the 3rd time that they have it, so there's not going to be another break counter aura until I push him down to a certain percentage of HP, but this kind of min-maxing of the turn order was also something that I really had to pay a lot of attention to. Anyway, since that's really all I had to say about this part of the fight, like I said, this was more of a, you know, managing the turn order. It wasn't necessary now that I've removed the speed passes, but, like, you know, being smart about managing the turn order, trying to push damage, and prepare for the 50% mark. One thing that I really wanted to... One other thing about the turn order to min-max was also just the fact that, like, when I pushed to 50%, I wanted to... You know, I didn't want to have, like, 7 turns before their current turn, and then they delete their own turns because they're using Augur, and then just I have like 15 turns where I can't do anything. That would kind of suck. I don't have to do too much of it in this run, fortunately, but that was one thing that I also had to consider. So while we're waiting for the 50% mark, let me just kind of touch on the cheese strategy that existed for this. The basic idea is that because Augur is an action that they took, and the orb appears after they use Augur, you could paralyze them with, like, a Shantoto Paralyze, for example. and then so long as they never get a turn to cleanse that paralyze, you could just keep denying them actions. They never get their, you know, their stat ups at certain HP intervals. They never get their brave damage reduction auras ever, and so you just delay them and just do damage until they die. And the fact that so many people wanted to do that just kind of exemplifies how annoying this fight is. And like, I will say that definitely the two most annoying parts are, one, break counter is an absolute pain in the ass. Just the fact that break counter hits as hard as it does and cleanses your buffs is... oh, it's disgusting. Oh my god, it's disgusting. Why would you do that? And then also, the fact that break counter can overlap with augur also is disgusting. Like, you're trying to remove their brave so that they don't kill you, and you're doing that when you can barely do any brave damage to them. But also you can't break them or you die! Like, what is that? Well, anyway, this is the second augur phase at 50%. You'll notice one thing here. If you look at the turn order, Kefka is right before B, and he has his EX ready. And his EX has high turn rate. You'll see how he bumped up when he used Light of Judgment. If I had used his EX instead of Light of Judgment to push off the HP attack disable, I could have broken him, had the HP attack disabled negate the counter attack, and then pushed off the HP attack disable on his next turn. Would have saved me a few turns of enemy actions where they still have the aura. And this is where I noticed, wait a second, I could have done that. You could kind of feel the disappointment in the pause there, but you know, that's how things go. Fortunately, I still got the kill. But you know, these kind of little mistakes, these are the kinds of little mistakes that like would cost me the run in my 3 days of trying this. Like, this is the kind of small detail that I was min-maxing here. And like I said, you notice that the break counter goes off, so the A loses his turn. So now he still has his aura and he has break counter up, and you're just like, ah. Fortunately, I have a couple of single target attacks to spend on these next 3 turns, so it's not the biggest deal. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it did matter. It matters, but like, fortunately, it's not a huge deal. The real thing right now is that now that we've gotten one person, or one of the enemies past 50% and capable of dealing damage, I now have to transition from like play kinda safe to just do big number. I have 15 turns, gotta go. So in these 15 turns, what do I do? Wait, this is 25 turns. I can't read. I can't do math. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so the easy way for me to start setting this up is, you know, pull out my friend burst unit and make the most of his burst aura, right? Also, I get to use Trine and Hyperdrive! It's great! Kefka, like, was holding back this whole time, and now he gets to actually do him damage. Kuja was the big DPS in the first half, now it's Kefka and, my friend Cloud. Was Cloud the best idea? I'm not sure. But yeah, this fight, because of the turn limit, because of the limiting nature of the augur mechanic, and because of the fact that, like, yes, when they swap brave counters, or break counters, the delay, which makes it easier for you to, like, not immediately get absolutely destroyed because of the self-battery on it. at the same time, it absolutely sucks, dude. Especially when you're dealing with Augur and Break Counter overlapping. They shouldn't be able to overlap. I feel like if you wanted to make this fight a little bit more reasonable, just a teeny bit more reasonable, all you would needed to do is that when one of them gets Augur, they both lose Break Counter. So that your goal then becomes just deal with their Brave before they destroy you, and then that's it. So here I just summon, because I want to make good use of the, I need to make good use of Cloud's finishing touches. Finishing touch in this team is the most damage that I can have Cloud do any particular turn. I don't want him to delay with his LD, I don't want him to do anything else, I just want big number. So just battery the party so that, especially Kuja benefits a lot from being batteried by these launches. Because his Ultima does more damage. He doesn't cap his Brave naturally with Ultima, but also Seraphic Star does so much more damage if he's properly batteried, which is why you'll see me use another Brave attack and like basically cap his Brave here. Because I'm going for the Seraphic Star. And then of course, let's just multiply that by launch damage, because of course we can! Why wouldn't we? But, like, that's basically all there is to the fight at this point. It's just me hitting them. They can't fight back. I mean, they can use some Brave attacks. I think they used some Brave attacks here and there before the end of it. But, like, this is it. This is just me going ham until their HP is 0. I managed to do it on turn 69, just barely eking it out, because of, like I said, that big mistake during Augur number 2 where I wasted a bunch of time. This would have been an absolute nightmare if I didn't remove the speed passives. I've said this before. Kefka was just too powerful for this fight. His debuffs are actually... It is really weird to say when you say that someone's debuffs were too good for the fight to work properly, right? And of course, for the fight to work, like, I keep going back to this, like, idea of just, the fight was just so unenjoyable for so many people that they had to skip it because of the way that the mechanics overlap in that super awkward way. And trying to solve it if you don't have, you know, the right synergy. Like, if you're trying to do it legit and you don't have, like, Exdeath, who's in synergy right now, if you don't have some really nice battery and some really good survivability. Fortunately, there's a couple of good characters for, like, Warrior of Light also being synergy really helps. 8, I hear, was really strong in this. I didn't try him, but apparently 8 was kind of negated a lot of the problems, especially if you were to break. Although, oh yeah, that was another issue with this. The freaking break counter heals them like 5% of their HP? Like, are you kidding me? With 70 turns? Are you kidding me? Like, the more you see these things overlapping on top of each other, the more you're just like, wow, I don't even care if it wasn't that much harder than any of the other ones. It's more annoying. And that's kind of the big problem with a lot of, like, especially a lot of the fights that people want to skip. is that it's not that it's hard, it's that it's annoying. Annoying to deal with the mechanics. And annoying is more... how do I word it? Annoying is worse than hard. And so that's why, like, I don't begrudge anyone for wanting to skip this. I don't begrudge anyone for skipping it if they did do it, because let's be real, it was... like, I don't have any better words. Literally just me sighing better describes the experience of trying to do this fight legit. I mean, yeah, it was easier than using this team, for sure, but like... ugh. Like, even when you're using the ideal members for this team, it was just such a pain. You do one stupid thing, one little teeny thing, and it's like, alright, this should work out this way. And then, whoops, the break counter guy got broken. Oh, you're dead now. This is like, yeah, you know, the break counter wasn't a big deal with this team, but that's just because Kefka. You know, not everyone's gonna use Kefka because Kefka's not a particularly... like, he makes things easier, but he makes other things harder. Right? Same idea here, he's just like... you know... even Gladio, like, I needed Gladio in order to... I couldn't have done the things that I wanted to do in this fight if I didn't use Gladio. Or, like, I wouldn't be able to do Kefka Kuja if I didn't use Gladio. But even using Gladio to fill that niche of dealing with the Augur HP++ attacks brought in and of itself its own little bit of problems because he didn't have any battery, he didn't have any, you know, he was only off-turn damage, but Kefka slows, which means he doesn't get to do his off-turn damage because the enemies don't go. Right? And so, like, there's just, whatever. That was more of an issue with my team building than, with the fight itself. But, you know, it's like... The fight had too many moving parts, and using only 3 units to deal with all of those moving parts was frustrating. And I think that's the easiest way to describe it. The fight had too many moving parts, and not enough characters could deal with that many moving parts without interfering with some of the other moving parts. Anyway, here's my Kefka, triple spheres, because I like Kefka and I like the idea of just him not making the enemy unable to do stuff. I had taken off the speed passives, like I said. I need to actually refarm some of his arts because they're all really expensive. Same with Kuja. Every burst character I have, I wanted to at least 3 sphere, even if they were refined spheres. So here's Kuja. He has his own sphere and some other stuff. And then, of course, Gladio, I always have his speed passive removed, just because he's a counter unit, so the more turns he takes, the less value he has, in my opinion. But yeah, that was the run. I'm glad I got it done. I'm not glad I did it. That's the easiest way to word it. Thanks for watching, if you made it to the end, and I'll see you next time.